Okay, so I'm going to do a quick video for you guys just to get you started. Just a quick disclaimer, all the stuff I'm showing you is going to be on my desktop computer. Your mobile app is going to look a little bit different just because of formatting, but I'm just going to go piece by piece, like standard stuff, and then I'll talk about more advanced stuff later. But this is how we're going to break down our league, like in terms of your roster. So I already showed you this. Another thing you want to know about is the IR slots. Those aren't mentioned, but they are just there for your injured players. So they don't take up a roster spot. You can move them into IR and then get a player off of the waiver. I'll explain that a little bit later. But yeah, this is our breakdown roster wise. So the first thing I want to pretty much go over is the draft. It's going to be snake draft. Explained it to a few people, but basically it's just an alternating draft method. So this is just a simulation right now, and basically you just go through, like you draft whoever, and then people take turns. We'll have probably 2 minute round, 2 minute pick times per pick, just to keep things a little bit quick. I don't want to take up everyone's time that day. And see how I picked first, and now I gotta wait till pick 28 to pick again. That's the idea. So, and now after this, I'm gonna pick again because I flip order to first. So if you're second, you're gonna become 13th, 11, whatever roster count there is, and it just alternates like that. So there's a lot of leverage for the first and last picks because they get 2 picks in a row. But it also balances, people at first picks because yeah, they get their player of choice, but they have to wait forever to come back and get more players, and they're usually going to be lower tier in comparison because of that. What else should we go over? So yeah, once you assemble your team, you're going to have 6 extra spots to kind of fill in, substitutions. Mostly stack up, I'm going to say, on receivers and running backs. They're the most used. They're going to score you the most points overall, unless you get a top end quarterback, tight end, etc. Unless you have the top end, they're always going to get outscored by these two positions. Well, quarterback is weird, but don't worry about it. I'll explain it more as we go. So scoring, yeah, let's talk just like scoring, what you're actually aiming to do every week. So you're going to be matched up with another player every week. So in this case, this was last year, first week, Sperlin beat my ass, but we have a head-to-head, so we pick a quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 receivers, tight end, flex position. So flex is just any skill position you can put in there. So running back, receiver, tight end. So you get you can have a third running back, a third receiver, or a second tight end. Probably not a second tight end if you're got a good roster. This is our bench right here. So you can see that I probably should have started J.K. Dobbins, gotten more points in there, but I don't know. That's kind of the fun of fantasy, hindsight's 2020. And first week is really hard to gauge anything, right? But as you go week by week, you'll start to understand how how matchups work. So if I go to the next week, there's data now about let's say Tennessee. At that point, we knew Tennessee was a crappy team, so I got Brees Hall against them. Of course, I'm going to start like that. That's a big upside potential for him to score. So you're going to want to pay attention to matchups a lot, especially if you have multiple players that are similar in skill. You're going to want to take the easier matchup for them because it's going to be more consistent. Unless you just feel that guy's going to have a great day. There's a lot of feel to this kind of stuff. So just be kind of cognizant of that. If you know football, this will be easier for you to gauge. Had this guy sitting, but I still won. So yeah, we're gonna go. Like I said, I think it was 14 weeks. We're gonna try and do 3 weeks of playoffs for the top 6. what that means is you're trying to get, in this case we had the top 4 go to playoffs, but we're going to have more teams this year, so bigger playoff pool. So these top 4 are going to be in a elimination bracket at the end of the year, and because it's just 2 rounds, we went to 15 weeks and 2 rounds instead of the 14 for 3 weeks. And then you do the same thing, head to head, per week. And then the winner goes on. And, in this case, I beat Rob in the playoffs, and Jim took home 3rd. And let's see if I can get can I even get the old... let's not worry about it. It's yesterday's news anyways. Let's see, what else should I go over? Matchup scoring. I guess I should go over how points work. It's not really complex. You get a point per 10 yards your player gets. That's for receivers, tight ends, and running backs. So you're going to get 10 yards, you get a point. You get 6 points for a touchdown. It's pretty logical. We have half a point for every catch they make to reward, receivers a little bit more because they're kind of undervalued usually. And then quarterbacks, they score a little bit differently. They're like a third of the points for passing, I believe. So you need to get a lot more yardage for a quarterback to get that point. And then I believe it's 3 points per passing touchdown, and you lose, I believe it's 2 per pick. There's a scoring breakdown somewhere. I'll link that in the chat. But quarterbacks tend to score the highest most consistently because they touch the ball so often, and they have the potential to run and get a rushing touchdown as well. Defenses work really funky. They start at 10 points and they lose points as people score against them. However, as you can see with like Kansas City here, they scored 11, and that's because they had 1 point per sack, 2 points per fumble recovery, and a touchdown. And then the points they lose for letting points up, there's like thresholds. So like I think at 7 points you lose like 4 points or something. I don't know. Like I'll link the scoring chart, but 2 points for any turnover, 1 point for a sack. As always, 6 points for a touchdown unless you're a quarterback. Kickers, they make 3 points per kick, 1 point for a PAT, and then they get additional points for the farther the field goal is. So you can get like 4 to 5 points for a kick if it's from deep downtown. Let's see. Yeah, let's quickly explain how waiver wires work. So, in this case, I had on IR Puka and Keaton Mitchell. So those open up spots on my bench. So that means I can go to the player tab, and I can grab players out of the player bin, and that can fill my roster. If I feel like there's a good matchup or there's someone that I think is going to break out soon, I can grab them, put them on my team, and I don't have to like give up one of those players that I wanted to keep on my IR or put on my IR to not have them go into the waiver wire. You get what I mean? Yeah, I think that's most of the big concepts I want to go over to help you guys just get started. I will say I would do a couple mock drafts just to get, if you've never done a draft before, just to get a feel for it. That way you understand like what you're giving up, what you're rewarded with when you pick a certain player or fill certain positions. Just get an idea. As far as research goes, honestly, just go to YouTube, type in, fantasy football strategy. There's videos on videos about this, and then there's like people have their own player rankings. Like they go. There's so much information out there. if you look up, I'll show you PFF rankings. So if you go here, just make sure you go to half PPR, so you're not. Actually, is this? Alright, well, this will be fine. So this is going to be like a general concept. Like, this is just what people think they're rated at, or sometimes you'll see rankings of people who are, they like accumulate data from other drafts, and they just say, like, okay, this is the average order. So, I think these might be, I don't know what this is actually, but this is just like a general concept of how these players rank. So it's a good idea to start understanding if a player is valuable or not during your pick. This is not a concrete rule. Take it with a big grain of salt, because fantasy experts are never only experts until the actual week starts, and then they look like idiots all the time. So yeah, that is pretty much everything. And if you have any other questions, feel free to hit up the chat, or after I get back, you can ask me on a Friday. All right, let me